Aye, 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 aye. Chelsea fans, if there's one thing that frustrates me about Chelsea Football Club at the minute, it's uncertainty. Uncertainty and failure of preparation. Now, it's just come out today that Chelsea are perhaps looking to recall Trevoh Chalobah's loan or sign Marc Guéhi back at the club. In a tweet today by the man himself, Fabrizio Romano, he's come out and said, Chelsea are seriously considering to bring in one more centre-back this month. Understand Marc Guéhi has been discussed as an option internally. Not easy, but he has 18 months left on his contract. Chelsea also have a recall clause in Trevoh Chalobah's contract. However, I'd stop there a moment because it was only about a week ago Fabrizio Romano was tweeting out that Trevoh Chalobah didn't have a recall option. Now, me personally, I found that quite unbelievable because 99.9% of loan contracts have a real recall in them, whether that be with a fee on top or whatever, or free recall. That's up to the clubs to decide. But 99.9% of loan contracts have a recall option. Now, this has all come out because Wesley Fofana is injured. We don't know if it's for the rest of the season or if he's back before the season. We're going to touch upon this very shortly. And Benoît Badiashile is also injured. For me, Disasi and Tosin just are not good enough for Chelsea Football Club. That's the brute reality. We've also recalled Anselmino from Boca Juniors. But for me personally, when we're looking at Disasi and Tosin, they're just not good enough. This just tells me that Enzo Maresca thinks that himself, because if we're looking for another centre-back, then Enzo Maresca doesn't have full faith in Tosin or Disasi to get us to the Champions League spots. And probably I'm in agreement with him, but how have we got this situation where we're panicking looking for a centre-back? Now, let's talk about the Wesley Fofana situation for a second, because this is what I mean about the uncertainty surrounding Chelsea at the moment. There's different mixed messages. We're getting mixed messages from Enzo Maresca in his press conferences, and then the club are saying one thing and Wesley Fofana is saying another thing. The club have come out and said that Wesley Fofana will undergo a surgery and will be out for the remainder of the season. And then Wesley Fofana come out on Instagram, which was shared on Twitter, which is where I seen it, that he's not having surgery and he will be back before the season. Surely you would know. Surely there would be more communication than this. This just speaks volumes of immaturity. Have a conversation, come to an agreement, and then everybody just on the same page. It just tells me that there's been no discussion and people are just starting to assume things. And this is a frustrating side of Chelsea, that there's mixed messages. Not everybody's on the same page. And we've seen that at the beginning of the season with the owners. Now we're starting to see it with the manager, the physios, or whoever's looking after Wesley Fofana. But let's talk about Marc Guéhi or Trevoh Chalobah. I think the most logical aspect is recalling Trevoh Chalobah. The reason being is because Marc Guéhi screams of a panic buy, and you don't want to be doing that. Trevoh Chalobah is obviously not rated by Enzo Maresca. Enzo Maresca didn't want him in his squad, and that's why he was loaned out. So Trevoh Chalobah, whether we like it or not, whether he's come out the Cobham Academy or not, he's not going to be the future of Chelsea Football Club. But is it right to bring Marc Guéhi back? In my opinion, no. I think Marc Guéhi is a good player. He's a good player, but for where Chelsea want to be, is he going to put you up to that level? I don't think so. I think he's a good, very good Premier League athlete, very good Premier League player. But is he winning? Is he going to win your Premier League titles? Is he going to push it into the Champions League? I don't think so. And for the money Crystal Palace want, I don't think it's worth it. I think there's better centre-backs out there with a higher potential and probably just as good as Marc Guéhi at the moment for probably the same price or less money. I think with 18 months left on Marc Guéhi's contract, in the summer, Crystal Palace will want 60, 70 million from him. They're going to want at least 40 to 50 million right now. And if you're buying in January, there's always an upward fee on what they'll actually value him at. So I'm guessing they're going to want about 40 to 50 million. And for me, it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. Do we need better than Disasi and Tosin? Absolutely. But if we're going to spend 40 and 50 million in the January transfer window for a centre-back, there's far better and higher potential centre-backs that I would be looking at right now, because even if they don't work out and you only keep them for the 6 months for the remainder of the season, they're going to have a higher value come this summer because people will be looking at their age, looking at the potential and buying them off that. Whereas when it comes to Marc Guéhi, yes, well, the thing is, he actually kind of fits Enzo Maresca's system because he's a right-footed centre-back, can also play on the left. Crystal Palace playing a back three. We revert to a back three when we're in possession. So he kind of fits that and he's kind of used to that. However, I don't think we should be bringing Marc Guéhi back to the club. That's just my opinion. I think the most logical aspect is probably recalling Trevoh Chalobah and having more depth at centre-back. That's probably the most logical aspect because you're saving 40 to 50 million. Even if you don't want him in the squad next season, there's an option to sell him at the end of the season, whereas there won't be an option to sell Marc Guéhi at the end of the season because you're going to have to give him at least 2 to 3 year contract. Nobody's going to buy him with that time remaining on his contract, and that means we won't go in the market for another centre-back come this summer. So for me, I would personally sell Disasi or Tosin straight away. One of them has got to go. Tosin, I get why they signed him because it was a free signing. You only had to pay his sign-on fee, and the reward probably outweighed the risk, and he provided good cover, squad depth. But at the minute, we're relying on him to start. I think Joshua Chempong is an unbelievable talent, and he's going to have an unbelievable career at Chelsea. But is it fair just to throw him in at the deep end right now? Probably not. It would test him. It would make him learn on the job. But if Chelsea really want to qualify for Champions League football, we can't rely on a Josh Chempong, especially if Josh or Levi Colwill get injured. That means we're relying on Disasi, Tosin. Imagine if Levi Colwill gets injured. We're relying on Joshua Chempong, Disasi and Tosin to get our top four. Never going to happen. Never going to happen. So we'll probably do need a centre-back. But is Marc Guéhi the answer? I think if you bring him in, you're going to find it very difficult to sell him. But one thing I really do hope Enzo Maresca's having a say in this, because it can't just be one way. The club cannot direct every single transfer. Enzo Maresca has to have a say because you need players to fit his system, and only he knows and only he will be able to identify the players to fit his system. The way it works is when you've got scouts at a football club, the manager will direct the scouts towards a certain player. You'll tell them exactly what they're looking for. For example, I need a athletic 6'2" centre-back that's good on the ball, progressive in his play, and the scouts will identify 5 players that can do this, and then they'll have a depth chart on which is better, etc. For me, I don't think Chelsea have actually planned on bringing in a centre-back and the panic buy-in, and that's the worrying thing. When you panic buy, there's a lot can go wrong. So for me, the most logic aspect is to recall Trevoh Chalobah. Whether Enzo Maresca favours him or not, or likes him or not, he can do a steady job. We've seen that last season. Is he going to be the answer in the future? For me personally, I don't think he's good enough, and that's me being brutally honest, for where Chelsea want to be. Can he help you get in top 4? Absolutely. Will he save you 40 to 50 million pound? Absolutely. But I just think the uncertainty around the club, the different voices from different places need to be ironed out before anything. Have a look at when Wesley Fofana will be available. Is it going to be in a month's time? Is it going to be in 2 months' time? Is it not going to be for the rest of the season? We still don't know yet because Wesley Fofana is saying one thing and the club are saying the other. Let's iron it out. Let's come out with a statement saying this is how it is. This is X, Y, and Z. Wesley Fofana is either going to be injured for the remainder of the season. This is why we're looking at this option. Or Wesley Fofana is going to be back in a month, maybe 2 months. This is why we're doing this. So I think it all depends on what's happening in-house. Because for me, if Wesley Fofana is going to be back in maybe a month's time, end of January, mid-February, I would just recall Trevoh Chalobah. But if he's going to be injured for the remainder of the season, I would look to bring in a centre-back, buy a centre-back. But would that centre-back be Marc Guéhi? Probably not. It's difficult to buy a centre-back in January, but I just think Crystal Palace are going to want a lot of money for Marc Guéhi. And is he really worth 40 to 50 million when he's never, ever, ever been your number one priority? That's what troubles me. That's what makes me think this is a panic buy. But I want to hear from you guys. I thought I'd make this quick video because, yeah, it's frustrating at the minute because everything was going so brightly. Everything was going so nicely. But one thing I will say about Chelsea, and I think this is why we are struggling to defend leads, etc., is there's a terminology in football saying, get me a pass, get me a pass. What that means is dictate the flow of the game, slow down the opposition's momentum. Liverpool do this unbelievable. They've been doing it all season. Get me a pass means you're not really doing anything with the ball. You're not being impactful. You're not progressing play. You're not moving the ball forward, but you're controlling the game. I think Chelsea need a silent leader like this on the football pitch. I think Romeo Lavia brings in that element of this. We need to teach him how to do it a bit better. But I think when Enzo and Moses Caicedo play in the middle, there's nobody there to get him a pass. Get me a pass. You'll often, when you're playing football, you'll often hear footballers screaming it. They'll say it to each other. And that's a trigger to say, let's control the game. Let's take the sting out of the opposition. Get me a pass. And I think that's where we're going wrong. I really, really do. Controlling games out of possession, but in possession, just finding more moments to go forward. We're too gun-ho. Everything needs to be 100 mile an hour going forward. Let's just control games in possession. I think for me, I know I've went on a different subject, but I've wanted to get this point across for quite a while. For me, that's what I'll be looking at if I was Enzo Maresca's shoes. I'd be looking at how can we control games in possession, but most importantly, out of possession, because it's a fine art when you can control games out of possession. Chelsea don't really do this. Liverpool do this brilliantly. Nottingham Forest do this brilliantly. And we need some experience to come in to do that. Or we teach Romeo Lavia how to do it better. So I want to know your thoughts on the Trevoh Chalobah situation, the Marc Guéhi situation, the Wesley Fofana situation. Would you? I forgot about Aaron Anselmino. Would you give him a chance? I don't know if he's got to apply for a work permit or not. That's something we're going to have to look into. If he is, he's going to have to be loaned out before he can play for Chelsea. It's a mess. It's a mess. We need to get it sorted. There needs to be pure, fine, defined communication between the club, the manager, and the players. That's my opinion. I would love to hear your opinion. But once again, thank you very much for watching. Until next time, ciao for now.